First story. Wife of 10 years has been cheating and ended our marriage. So this all kicked off in January, but I will give you some background on us. We have known each other for 13 years. I met her when she was working at a bar. We got to talking and I gave her my number before I left. We had our first date 3 days after that and became inseparable from that day, as in we were together all the time. We moved in together quickly. We were always totally compatible and comfortable with each other. Our morals and core values aligned, and one of the keys was neither of us ever wanted a divorce, especially if we had kids. She comes from a broken home, hates her father for cheating on her mother and treating his kids, her and the brother, poorly. When she was pregnant with our first, she was homesick, so I finished up where I was working for us to move 1,800 km away, to a place I had never been before. I struggled to find work in my field in the new city. And after our son was born, I was just working retail, and we discussed me studying more to change careers. I got accepted into med school, which meant we had to move again. We moved to another state and I studied hard while she made friends in our new location. That first year was because she ended up with a cancer scare, and we also had a miscarriage. I stopped study that year to stay with her and our kid. We got pregnant again while I was back at study and we had a healthy baby boy. He actually was born on the day of my final exam, which I skipped to be with my wife. I went back to study in the new year and completed that year. It was hard being away from them all the time and having to focus on study so much. My wife now says I was neglecting her and the kids. I always asked her if she was okay, if she needed me to do anything. She never said anything to me, just complained to her friends. I got myocarditis from the COVID vaccine, and also when I caught COVID it fucked me up pretty badly, which ended up with me missing most of a year of study. And then when I was well enough to go back to study, I got a significant spinal injury that has taken surgery and nearly 2 years of rehab to get me anywhere near being a functional human. I still have chronic unrelenting pain, but I'm managing. Through all that sickness and injury, my wife decided to first become a fitness instructor, then studied to become a personal trainer, and has been working as a PT for 18 months at this point. She got herself fit and has been working on bodybuilding as well. I have always encouraged her to chase her dreams and told her she can do anything. Most of the men in her life have never believed in her. She has been away from home more and more over the last 6-9 months, always busy. I have become the primary carer for our kids because she leaves before they get up, and often isn't home until after dinner time. Over Christmas she was behaving distant and odd towards not just me but the kids as well. We were on holiday but she was still stressing about work. On January 7th she sat down on our bed and said she was feeling disconnected from me. We needed to spend more time together. She said she had been texting a guy from her gym for a couple of weeks and felt bad. It was nothing sexual and nothing had happened. We discussed it as a warning. She agreed to us doing counseling. She cuddled into my arms and we went to sleep. The next day, after further questioning, she admitted it had been sexual, nothing physical. She agreed that she would need to stop communicating with the guy, but then decided she didn't want to after she had been to work and talked to a friend. The next day it came out it was more like 2 months, and that it was over and she didn't want to do anything to help our relationship. Said she would be moving out. She went off and slept with the guy the next day when she was meant to be looking after the kids. When that guy, who was in his early 20s, my wife is in her mid-30s and I'm 42, dumped her a week or 2 later, she decided we should at least do some counseling. We started counseling and agreed to a trial separation. We wouldn't tell the kids. She would continue to sleep in the spare room. We agreed to no dating or bringing anyone else into the situation. Agreed to 6 months of trial and counseling for us individually and as a couple. We both started reading self-help books and exchanging the ones had read. We discussed things we found applied to us. Things were getting better. We were almost like friends again. Then she started acting weird again, to me and the kids. She had been talking to a client of hers at the gym, when a guy came up and said he had been through a divorce, and could give her advice and gave her his number. This blew up over Easter because she had been hiding it, once again breaching my limited trust I had in her. Before I knew about it, she actually left the home and the kids to go clear her head. She actually went and spent 2 hours with this guy. From what she has told me, this guy is older than me, has a 12-year-old son he only sees once a fortnight, and has been separated for 7 years. Cut a very long story short, everything has gone back to shit, and is actually worse than it has ever been. I don't trust a word she says. She has become totally unreliable where the kids are concerned, and she used to be all about them, her number one priority. She is now intending to date this friend, and from her behavior, has also started a sexual relationship with him already. I'm looking after the kids 80 to 85% of the time. She is rarely at home, and when she is, she puts in minimal effort for them and their care. I had to duck out to the shops, and when I got home, she had given the little one ice cream for dinner. Her devious in general is self-centered at best, totally narcissistic at worst. She doesn't care how much pain she has already caused. She blames me for not being a safe space for her to open up. Her memory has also become totally screwed. She forgets things and has done none of the things for the kids she said she would. My parents are concerned about her as her personality has totally changed. Her family aren't really aware what has been happening because she doesn't talk them about what is happening in detail. All she has is her gym buddies telling her to stay strong and she will get through it. My life is in a shambles. The person I believed in and trusted the most has turned her back, not just on me but our kids. I keep it together as best I can, but I struggle. I'm lucky my parents are nearby so they can come and help. I also don't have a big social support nearby because all my friends are now busy doctors or live in different states. Update: wife is finally moving out. The consequences of her actions have started to impact her. So you can check my last post about the shit that has happened. After some great advice from people on here, and looking at resources, I started grey rocking in response to her, and she has hated it. She doesn't like that after all her lies and cheating that I want nothing to do with her. She dropped on me this afternoon that she has found a place and will be moving out next Saturday. She also told me that if I want her to pay for her share of the rent on our current place like she is obligated to for 4 weeks after giving notice to vacate, I will have to take her to court. I said okay, that's fine, I will do what I need to. She told me if I don't sign custody agreement with her for 50-50, she is going to take them with her anyway. I calmly informed her that as I am currently the primary carer for the kids, with about 80 to 85% of the care being directly from me, I would go and get a temporary injunction to stop her. I offered her for the current care arrangements to continue, and she can see them on weekends like she currently does, and once we do mediation we can see what they say. She won't accept that offer. She says she wants what's best for the kids, but is also willing to take them away from their home without consideration. Also refusing to let me know where her place will be. I have informed my lawyers of the latest development, see what will come of it. Update: at a loss for what to do. So if you want my backstory, it's in my previous posts, but TLDR, wife dropped on me she was having an affair in January. She was done and moving out 2 weeks later. Her AP had broken it off, and she was still intending to move out, but had no plans or money to do so. We were doing counseling and things were improving. Then at Easter, she took up with another member of her gym and things went sideways majorly. She moved out 3 weeks ago. Her parting shot being taking the kids from school and taking them to her new place, which I don't know where it is, and called the police on me. She has made unfounded accusations of financial abuse, physical threats, and stalking. I have basically been grey rocking it, and not reacting to her, just looking after the kids when I have them. She wants 50-50, but she keeps dropping time each week where she has something on, so I get the kids. So now I'm just looking after my physical and mental health. Been swimming, walking, and have joined a gym. Have lost 38 kilogram, 83 lbs, since January. Have set myself some goals to hit in the year. Complete a triathlon. My chronic back pain hasn't changed, but I just have to put up with it. I'm doing a diving course and organizing with my university to graduate with a master's degree from my complete studies. Trying to get myself registered to do my old medical radiation job. I go to IC fortnightly, and the opposite week I see a psychologist. Mixed in with those are appointments with physiotherapist and pain specialists for my back issues. I have also been organizing my kids' counseling and a child psychologist. The eldest is really struggling and has been defiant to both myself and his mother. Has lashed out, ignored others, and won't talk sometimes even about things he likes. He is sad and angry, feels left out, and is constantly hopeful that his mom and I will just magically get back together. Just the same way he saw the breakup because she just took him from school to her new place and was like, "This is my new house, I've moved out." I struggle every day I have the kids because I can see the pain and confusion in their eyes, the hurt and betrayal they feel, and I give them my love. Let them know they can ask anything. That I will support them and take care of them. Then when they are with the ex, I struggle because I can't give them the cuddles they need and love. I can't make sure she is actually attending to them and giving them the attention they need. She always has her head buried in her phone or iPad, and it doesn't seem to have improved. The person I used to like talking to the most is now a stranger. I feel like I bug my friends if I reach out to them because I'm a bit of a drag. At least at the pool or the gym, if I talk to people, I can put on my mask. And even though I'm hurting, I can pretend for a moment to be a functional adult. But the moments at home, where the kids are doing their own thing and want their space, I feel lost. The house is cleaner than it's been in years. I've started to run out of projects around the house. I want to reach out and talk to my ex because she was always the person to chat with, to have fun and have a laugh. But nowadays she can either be friendly when we talk or psychotic. I just kind of wish I could just meet someone to hang with and chat with and let my guard down. But I don't want to try dating apps because that would be the false impression. I don't want to find someone else. I just miss having a connection with someone. Blah, life is hard. Even though I seem to have everything together, it doesn't feel like it. Update. The latest new low from STBXW. If you want the full background, they are in my history. DD1 was January. DD2 Easter Friday. Went downhill rapidly after that. But throughout the breakup and separation and her moving out, she shifted from want to be friends, want to be respectful, want to focus on the kids, to the latest new shift from her. Our kids are struggling with their mother moving out. The fact that she continues to not be interested in them during story time. And the fact she doesn't really engage with them when they are at her new place. This last weekend, my eldest specifically said he didn't want her coming to his karate lesson. And then the younger one said he didn't want to talk to her because he is used to not talking to her now. These are red flags for me to her having broken her relationship with both the kids. She used to be a dedicated mother, but not since she got into the gym and bodybuilding. We had been communications about the kids, what they had been doing, how they have been saying they are sick and don't want to go to school or see their friends. Both kids previously loved school, but now she doesn't want to hear about what is happening with the kids, because it's emotional abuse and manipulation from me to control her how she acts with the kids. It's always about her these days. She doesn't want anything to disturb her new happy teenage-like life where she goes out, does what she wants, hooks up with her second AP while blaming everything on me. It's really easy to let someone go who is so full of themselves that they don't care to hear about their kids anymore. Second story. Honestly fed up with everything. I am on the verge of a mental breakdown. I hate her. God, I still love her, but I hate her. She shattered my heart in the worst way. I gave her 25 years of my life, from my 20s to my 45s. I fought for my family, and it wasn't enough. She had an affair. Her affair partner was her boss. For 4 months, she didn't care about anything. Our family, home, and 3 children. Nothing mattered except her affair partner. At first, she covered it up, and when I found out, she promised to end it and seek forgiveness. Yeah, right. She didn't stop seeing him for the next 2 months. I cried because I really love her, and it hurts, damn it, it hurts a lot. Too much, and she didn't care. But now, I don't know why I'm the one paying the price. Her affair partner and she had a car accident. He ended up injured, but she got the worst of it, paralyzed from the waist down. Her affair partner left her, and because of my kids and her family's pleas, I know what they'll say. I shouldn't have let myself be manipulated. But seeing my ex-Marine father-in-law crying his heart out in a hospital, begging me to take care of his daughter a little longer, saying they'd take over after that, well, it's tough. It's been 6 months since the accident. She still has her job, but with a lower position, and according to her, she's an outcast in the office, and some people mock her for being in a wheelchair. She was a beautiful and complete woman, good figure, breasts and butt, but she always said her best feature was her legs. Isn't it ironic? During this time, I don't know how many apologies she's made, how many times she's told me that if she could, she'd never be with her affair partner. She's trying to be a better wife and mother. I thought she was, but after taking off the blindfold of love, I realized she was mediocre. I always dedicated all my time to my family. In fact, I can say I almost never had free time. She did. God, everyone tells me to forgive her. They say they see the change in her. I admit she seems changed, but to me, it feels like an act. She didn't like going to church before. Now she prays a lot for everyone. My kids understand me, and I think they are the only ones not pressuring me to forgive. I just want advice on what I should do because I'm lost, very lost. Third story. Caught my wife having an affair with her boss. I recently discovered that my wife of 5 years and partner of 8 years has been having an affair with her boss. We have 2 children together and I'm completely at a loss of what to do. She is military, so we have all of our healthcare through her. I'm terrified of losing all of our benefits, but I can't forgive what I found on her phone when I went through it. The person she got caught on isn't the only guy she was talking to and flirting with. There were 3-4 other men on her phone I found her flirting with. I know she deletes her messages, so there is more than I have been able to find. When I confronted her, she said she was going to kill herself, and is now in a psychiatric facility for 2 weeks, and I'm alone with the kids trying to handle everything on my own. I'm currently a full-time student and have been struggling with getting my assignments in on time and taking care of everything else. She keeps saying she's sorry and doesn't want to live without me, but I know she is still lying to me about things she doesn't know I have proof of. I'm just spiraling all over the place and haven't had a chance to process everything since confronting her last week, since I've been taking care of the kids. I don't know what to do. A voice in my head just keeps telling me I never should have confronted her. Another keeps telling me I should just try to move on. And another is telling me I can never forgive someone who hurt me like this. I don't know what to do and I just need support or advice. I want to be strong enough to leave, but I'm so afraid. Y'all, I just wanted to say this is the best fucking subreddit I've ever found. I found this place a few days ago from a person posting in another sub their story to get enough karma to post here. I was fucking spiraling an hour ago when I made the post, and you all are helping me feel so much stronger. I really needed all this support and I appreciate everything everyone has said. Thank you. Fourth story. Struggling and lost. I am 37, am a survivor of a previous marriage where my ex-wife cheated on me dozens of times before I found out in the 4 years we were married. She really broke me down, blaming me, my looks, my size, comparing me to other partners, etc. It took a long time to get past, rebuild my self-esteem and carry on. My current wife, F36, of nearly 5 years recently came out as bi and recently connected with a person they wish to spend time with. They have been very upfront about everything as far as I know, and it is not sexual yet. All of the feelings are back, no matter how I try to justify this situation. I really love this woman and trusted her. But now when I know they are seeing them, I just effing hurt. I know I have unresolved issues from my past. Has anyone else had this happen? Did you get past it? She seems very open but truly seems to need this. She promises I will be the only man she will be with. We have discussed boundaries. I still feel like worthless, cast aside trash when they see each other. Fifth story. Happened 4 years ago. Found out 2 months ago. A bit of background. I 23 M at the time and my wife 24 F had just moved back to our hometown to begin new career paths. My wife worked at a job that was high stress and required physical apprehension of the challenged youth. Juvie, I started my college classes and took care of our 2-year-old daughter. Her job really strained our relationship, and I take half the blame in it for not fully empathizing the stress it caused her. During her time there, fighting was more frequent, and a lot of it stemmed from me telling her to stop worrying about the kids and how they feel because they use that to their advantage. But her people-pleasing self would never let that be the case to most extents. I eventually started noticing her phone was becoming more secretive, and it would be put away as I came in the room. So I grew suspicious. Her iPad was connected to her phone through the Apple account, so I saw pictures of herself posing half naked showing the slightest of parts, and none of them were shown to me. Texting apps downloaded, that was Apple standard. So I confronted her about it. She told me she took them for me, never sent them to me because we had fought later that day, and that she uses the apps for group chats for her work, which I have done before, so I could see the possibility. We talked and listened to each other and realized we weren't just listening to each other how we needed to. Fast forward 4 years, we have twin girls now too, and life just couldn't be more perfect. One day I went to go download movies for our kiddos on her iPad, and I decided to delete what I could to make room on it, but I got curious. I came across old messages of the guy I suspected back then of who she was talking to and her meeting up to hang out and catch up months after we had worked it out, and only a couple months after she quit from that job. The messages weren't explicit, but the few things that stuck out were, "Wife, I will always love you, but we just need to figure out how to be friends without ripping each other's clothes off." To me that was pretty damning. I honestly don't know how to confront this. I'd almost feel better if it was just sex with no emotion. But once it's an emotional cheating using words like love, it's harder for me to get over it. I at least think about it once a day and I don't know how to confront it. I still love her and we've been together since middle school. I'm just lost. Sorry for the long story. Sixth story. My girlfriend, 21F, of almost 2 years cheated on me, 23M. About a month ago my ex-girlfriend cheated on me. I'm still figuring out how to deal with this. It's not a situation I've ever been in or thought I'd ever be in. There were red flags early on that I chose to either ignore or figured I could fix. She had past traumas and was severely codependent, among a laundry list of other issues. I wish I listened to the alarms that went off when I first learned these things, but I really liked her, and then I really loved her. It's a story as old as time. The fabled "you're the first guy to ever treat me right" storyline that seemingly every guy experiences at least once in their life. I don't know how to put our relationship into words, but it was perfect. We never fought, always communicated and worked through problems, and we just fit together. She moved in with me about 8 months into our relationship, and we lived together for a year. During the last 2 months of the relationship we started to become disconnected. We just got a puppy and she was sort of bouncing around jobs, so I had to work a lot more to stay above water. The puppy was a huge undertaking, and we didn't have nearly as much free time or fun time as we used to. I'd also come home pretty tired, so I wasn't giving her as much affection as she probably needed. I figured the rough patch would get better with time, and oh man, oh brother, was I wrong. She started acting weird during the last couple weeks of the relationship. I'd catch her quickly swiping out of her messages when I'd look at her, or she'd be texting with her phone angled away from me. I instantly knew what it meant, but it just didn't make sense to me. I couldn't comprehend her, of all people, betraying me. I didn't say anything about it, but I kept it in the back of my mind. So fast forward to the day it happened. She had made plans with two of her work friends to hang out. She showered and shaved every inch of her body, aka the mythical everything shower. She painted her nails and toes, and was showing me all of this as if it was for me. I knew exactly what she was about to do, but I couldn't confront her yet. She leaves and I'm left alone, just swimming in thought for hours. Later that night she texts me asking if she can spend the night at her friend's house, and I just say yes. What am I gonna do? At this point I'm certain the relationship is over, but I still don't have any proof that she did anything. And if I confront her now, she could easily delete any messages and make anything up. So I do something I've never done before, and I go on her laptop. It's a Mac, so it syncs with her phone, but it hadn't synced in months, so there was nothing in her messages. I scoured everything and found no proof of cheating. My last-ditch effort was to go through her email, and the most recent email is a DoorDash confirmation from earlier that night. She got a single box of condoms delivered to the house she was at. I spiraled. Before seeing that email, I still had hope that maybe I was just crazy. Seeing the proof made me legitimately lose my mind for hours. It is the most painful thing I've ever gone through. It was like I got shot in the chest. Like I felt actual physical pain from this. I'm still brought back to that night, and the knot in my chest comes back whenever it pops in my head. I still have nightmares reliving it. So at like 2 a.m. I finally text her. I just say, you need to get all of your things out of here by the end of the week and go to work a couple hours early. She wakes up around 5:30, spam calls me, and drives from his house all the way to where I work. I finally meet her in the parking lot. She keeps saying she messed up and she doesn't know how it happened, but I just tell her to get her things and get out of my life. When I get home later that day, she's sitting on the couch and 90% of her things are moved out. Her dad and sister came earlier to bring everything back to their house. She profusely apologizes and pleads to make this work. Her main excuse is she was disassociating and didn't feel real. LMAO okay. She swears she'll never do it again, and she'll do whatever it takes for me to trust her. I told her early on that my one and only deal breaker is cheating. She knew that and weighed her options. There's no going back from cheating for me. She could have burned my house down, slashed my tires, stabbed me, and I still would have made it work. She could have chopped my arm off and I would have learned to hold her hand with the other. But she cheated. So I broke up with her and blocked her in every possible way. She kept the puppy and moved back in with her parents. Her dad still texts me from time to time, and he called me after it happened to give me support. He's the sweetest dude. Her cheating on me made it infinitely easier to get over her. I'm repulsed by her now. Infidelity is the ultimate ick. It really helps knowing there's no what ifs or what did I do. I wasn't perfect, but I was incredible to her. Knowing I did all I could is all the closure I need. What she did is a result of her own issues, and I understand it has nothing to do with me. Still, getting cheated on by the person I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with takes a serious toll. I have newfound trust issues and trauma that I have to work through. I have to relearn how to be vulnerable. I have to make a conscious effort not to carry this into my next relationship so I don't hurt someone. It'll probably take years, but I'm only 23 and I have my whole life ahead of me. Thanks for reading. We'll all be okay. 7th story. I am 21. Found out my girlfriend, F20, lied about what she did when we split up for a week at the beginning of our relationship. How should I handle this? So I am 21, met my girlfriend F20 around 3 months ago. All's been good despite a couple bumps in the road here and there. We've spent an abundance of time together and have gotten pretty serious pretty quick, which is what we were both looking for and we're happy to have found. We established what we were looking for in a relationship early, and it really seemed like we were on the same page. To preface, as a young adult and teenager, I've only had relatively serious relationships in the past, one being 3 years long, and the other over a year. Not super into sleeping around or little fling type things necessarily. This only to help understand my thought processes in this situation. We're both in college and summertime came around and she was planning to have to move back home a few hours away. The idea of doing long distance didn't excite either of us as we were only 2 months in. And as her family situation is far from optimal, she wasn't eager to go back home at all. As a result of these circumstances, and the fact that this was a person and relationship I wanted to continue to pursue, I offered to let her stay at my place for around 3 weeks, until her new living situation was arranged in our college town. She moved out, and started crashing at my place. Being together that much, we got even closer and things got pretty serious for being together only 3 months, especially compared to my past relationships. It was good though. We enjoyed being around each other, we enjoyed dating still, and we were growing together. She ended up getting a job in our college town, which presented some issues as she doesn't have a car, and I was driving her to work about half the time. Overall though, it wasn't too bad, and in the least sorta I'm such a good person type of way possible. I find extreme fulfillment providing for my partner and taking on responsibilities for them, even if it seems from the outside that it might be too much as a 21-yo, i.e., giving her a place to stay, driving her everywhere, and paying for quite a bit. So, all was good. As previously mentioned, however, we had hit a bump in the road just 3 weeks in. Around a month before we met, she had gotten out of a relationship that was only about a month long. She told me this and detailed what had happened. She said she didn't talk to her ex anymore and that she was over him. When we found ourselves at that 3 weeks mark, I was out of town, and she told me that she needed to stop what we were doing, as she was too scared of getting hurt again after she had just gotten blindsided and dumped. I was pretty distraught by her telling me to basically screw off, but as much as I didn't want to, I understood her reasoning and the way she was feeling. Around a week later we were still texting here and there, and she was dropping hints of wanting to see me again. Eventually I invited her to come watch my band play at a frat party the following Saturday. She did. We saw each other and she was immediately all over me and saying how sad she has been, yada yada, and we picked it back up and went from there. The following months up until now had been great, like amazing really. Here we go. This past week before I left for a trip to California, she was at work one evening and I was hanging at home. I was watching something on her iPad. Think what you want about this practice, but we have an understanding that we are able to go through each other's phones. So I go to her texts and scroll down and see her ex's name. It was from a couple months prior, and I read some stuff that I definitely didn't want to see and ended up figuring out the timeline. Essentially in that week span, after a month of being together at basically every moment besides work and class, she didn't just need time. Turns out her ex from her prior month-long relationship had called her and asked for her back. She dropped me, stayed with him for 4 to 5 days, and then came back to me. That's what I found out from the texts. She had never told me about this even though I was completely honest about anything that happened, which was essentially nothing. When I confronted it about her, she denied it for about 10 minutes and dragged it out. I essentially said, if you don't tell me now, it's over. She eventually did and gave me the details I asked for and apologized and started freaking out crying, essentially saying she went back because she was scared I would hurt her and felt more secure with her ex. She said as soon as she saw him again she knew she made a mistake. When trying to justify the not telling me part, she told me she was too scared of losing me to fess up. Not a great excuse really. Not sure if it's necessary, but as far as what they did sexually, but it wasn't much at all. Nothing past first base really. Won't go into detail, but it was very important to know for a fact she was telling me the truth on that front, and she did manage to come up with a sort of proof. And I do believe her. At this point, I've talked to a handful of people about this and still don't know how I feel. At this point, I feel the urge to forgive her and try and work through this because I do love her. Most of the people I have told say I should mend. I deserve more than to have to deal with this. I also think that's true. Overall, where I'm at in this current moment is I want to give her another chance. I want to try it again and see the amount of dedication and work she says she's willing to put in to earn my trust back. I want to trust her. I want this to work. So I guess my question is, am I screwing myself over by giving her another chance? Am I stupid for wanting to trust her again? What would you do and how forgivable is this? What would you do in my situation? Thanks Reddit. I'm in need of opinions I know are close to non-biased. I really appreciate any help you all.